Hey, everybody. This is Angela, your host at Polymaths Plays podcast, and I'm thrilled to have you all here today. We have an incredible guest joining us, Barbara Kleeb. But before we dive in, let me officially welcome you to the channel. If you're new here, this is where we explore the intersections of learning, creativity, and the human experience through the lens of polymathy. We talk to extraordinary individuals who have navigated multiple fields and disciplines to achieve amazing things. And I'm honored to have Barbara here with us. Barbara, at this point, I'd like to hand it over to you to share a bit about your background, your passions, and please don't be shy. Tell us all about who you are and the amazing person that you are.
Thank you so much for the introduction. So I was just living life as what I later found out a polymath because I was always learning for my whole life and I still am. So the first thing that professionally caught my interest was photography. So I became a professional photographer. And before I had finished that, I started studying medicine. So I later specialized in gynecology and obstetrics. I had a lot of other things in the field of medicine that interested me, like acupuncture. I did a course in homeopathy. I did herbalism. I have 7 years of sex therapy, which is linked to body work, posture, body language. So I have really good knowledge of that as well. And when I finished with my studies, I started doing surgery, which was then the normal thing to do. So I did that for a year, and then I started specializing in gynecology. That took about 6 years. And then I was working my way up in hospitals, and I was also working in the practice. And when I was once in a hospital, I got bored because I had a lot of skills that I acquired in a previous hospital, but I could just apply about 20% of them. So I thought either I'm getting frustrated or I do something else. So I chose the second one, and then I started doing singing, songwriting, and that led me into recording 26 songs with really great Cuban musicians, which are on all the platforms. I haven't published all of them, but they're really great, deep songs. I did everything I could to have optimal quality on them. So I thought one of the things that is very, very important to how the music sounds in the end is the mastering. So I found out uh, who has a good mastering. I found the sound of Ed Sheeran very convincing. So I went to find out who mastered Ed Sheeran's songs, and it is somebody in the Metropolitan Studio in London who has also mastered Amy Winehouse's stuff. And then I went there and had a great time mastering my CD, my second CD.
Wow, that's
That
so
was the one
cool.
thing to do.
From
Yeah.
medicine to music, such a polymath. I love it. All right. But before we dive into the meat of our conversation, and I'm so excited to talk with you further, I'd like to start with a fun icebreaker question, which is if you could master any new skill or field overnight, what would it be and why?
Yeah, I know how to do many things already. I have the mindset of when I want to learn something, I can learn it. I mean, after the music and the the medicine, I also went into coaching. I learned a lot of stuff about that, many methods. I went into spiritual healing, all the stuff that I think I can do to that help other people to become their best version, and that really helps them kind of shine their light. So, what would I like to do? Um, I have no idea right now
That's
what
okay.
else I wanted to
That's
do.
okay. Well, if something comes to you later, like there's like a bucket list thing and you realize, oh, I forgot that, feel free to chime in, but we can just move
Okay, I just
along.
say something to say something. Okay, I want to be able to fly a plane tomorrow, so I could also
Oh,
travel in my own airplane. That would be a cool thing, just
That,
for bums.
yeah, that would be amazing. If you'd be able to fly all over the globe then. And yeah, how cool would that be? All right. Well, thank you. That's a great one. All right. So today we're going to talk about you. We're going to talk about your coaching of polymathic people and what you know about polymathy as a human phenomenon and like your own experience as a polymath and reflecting on your own diverse career. So that's where we're headed. All
Yes.
right. So the first question I've got for you is, so you're such a polymath yourself and you help other people embrace their polymathic nature. And I'm curious, how did you first recognize this capacity in yourself? And what does being a polymath mean to you?
I didn't recognize it myself. Somebody told me when I had a concert in their house in the outskirts of England somewhere, and I performed my own recorded music, and he knew that I was also a doctor, and I've also worked as a consultant for PwC. So those were the contexts that he already knew about me. And then he said, "Oh, I think that's not just a hobby, you're a polymath." And then I had to Google it, like many other. And then very soon I got to know you, and you helped me very much to with your thesis and to kind of frame it and find the significance of it. We also had a conversation which was very helpful for me in the start to get it started and to understand what it really is and it means to network to with those people and to form like a community of polymaths.
Yeah. So you were already experiencing life as a polymathic person, and then someone gave you the word, and then
Yes.
you went searching and found like it's a thing, it's studied, like there's other people. So how did finding the word like change the way you think about your own polymathic capacity and potential and expression?
What it did, it was taking away the pain for me to find I have to find a niche. And I found niches very restrictive. And I had the concept of then I can just talk of a very little part of myself. And when I had I'm coaching polymaths, then I can talk about everything I want, and that's part of it. So I thought I have found a big breadth. But I also realized that there are not so many polymaths, or at least not so many people who recognize themselves as polymaths. So it's kind of broad, but it's also small.
Well, I'm so glad you found the word, and then it just opened up a whole new world for you to pursue polymathy in community because you've built right, right? Can you speak a little bit about your group?
So it's not a fixed group. It's kind of, I'm just opening a space. It's a Zoom call that everybody who is interested in polymathy, most are, from my opinion at least, polymaths, but some think they're not, but it doesn't matter. So people who think similarly can join and have a discussion. Each second week, I phrase 3 emails around a word, and then afterwards we talk about this from many perspectives. And then I make a post on LinkedIn so people can continue the conversation. And it's a beautiful space where people just get lit up just by being there and
Mhm.
being understood. It's a very important thing for people.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I'm so glad you're offering that. You know, a lot of people, they struggle with society's expectations to specialize and just be one thing, stay one thing. And I'm curious, especially given your own polymathic expression and your experience supporting other polymathic people, is what advice do you have to people who are feeling pressure to conform to one path?
Don't.
Don't. Oh, I love that answer.
Don't be your breath, be a bunch of flowers. Don't just be a Margaret. It's boring. And you can't, because one thing I realized is polymaths have very fast thinking skills. It's not a step by step thinking. It's a different kind of thinking. But if you look at the single thoughts, the end results might take longer because they have many things that they have to consider. It's system thinking. And then the end result might take longer than a step-by-step thinker might take to come to the next step. But they already know all the influences and impacts and consequences of what they're saying. They're not just saying something as a guesswork. It's already kind of secured and related to the context. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I find like we kind of see lots of things and try to figure out the how to weave them together in words that make sense to others. But yeah, there's an ability to make more linkages and see the bigger picture when you've had broad exposure and you've got lots of tools in your toolkit.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I know part of your goal in having this community is to help polymathic people to break free from patterns and expectations, that society has pressured them into, and instead live their lives with more authenticity and joy. And can you say a little bit more about how you think people can be helped? Like what have you seen that like helps people come into their polymathy more? Is it having that community or that support, permission, seeing that other people are doing it? Like what helps people really break free into their polymathy the most?
I think a lot of people are already free because I see a lot of polymaths have more or less of a rebel mindset and they don't care so much what other people are thinking about them.
Mhm.
But to be able to come into the space where you don't have to slow down, you don't have to narrow your message, but you can just go in and talk as you want to and be understood. That is very empowering for everybody.
Yeah. Part of why I started the Polymath Place community is because I really like when I talked to polymathic people for the dissertation, everyone kept saying like, this is pretty much a lonely journey. Like other people don't understand me. There's no place to go. And so it's my belief that yeah, like polymathic people, if they're living their lives in that way already, they're already like sort of free. They're already expressing their multiplicity. But it is comforting somehow to find others who are also living this way. And we're never going to find the exact combination just like us. That's part of the beauty of polymathy. But to find other people who think and value versatility as part of their way of being, it just I don't know. It's a nice feeling to be around others who are like that and the kinds of conversations we can have too. You were at the retreat in Greece last year for
Yeah.
polymath, and like we can have some epic conversations when we get around other people who are just so broad-minded. It's nice to be around others who are that way too, don't you think?
Yeah, that's true. And it's funny you're saying that because if you have, let's say, non-polymathic people who are kind of at the opposite end of the spectrum, they might be happy to have their people who have done exactly the same like them, who are speaking their language, have a similar experience, vote for the same party. But with polymaths, I have a rocket science scientist in my group. I have teachers. I have people from so like a bunch of flowers with so different colors, and we all understand each other. Maybe not every word we say, but it's not necessary. We all know what we mean, and we all can have a very cool conversation where everyone builds on what the other says, and it's not like, oh, you already said what I planned to say, and now I don't know what to say anymore. That never happened.
Hmm.
It's
Yeah.
very creative in the thinking.
Yeah, we can learn from each other. There's this like co-sense making that becomes possible when you surround yourself by highly versatile minds and lots of them. Like it's so cool the linkages and learning we can do, the co-sense making we can arise into. That's one of my favorite
Yes.
parts about being around fellow polymaths, how I can learn from them. All right, well, let's shift a little bit. What What common obstacles have you seen polymaths face? And how have you been able, as a coach, to kind of guide them through those challenges?
So, as diverse as the polymaths are, as diverse are the obstacles. Some people have a problem that they have not really figured out where they want to go in their journey because they have so many, I call it the too many options problem.
Mm,
So they have to find out what field resonates with me to really put my effort in and make a living out of it.
yeah, the too many options problem is a real, a real thing. Or its cousin, the I want to do so many things, I take on a lot at once, and then I get overwhelmed. That
Exactly.
that
That's another problem that happens because I would say there is so many energy. So sorry, my Swiss German. There is so much energy that the brain has and produces, and the creativity and the some also have direct access to knowledge, I would say. But then they can be very, very fast, but then they can't be fast like this all the time.
Mhm.
So you need some resting time to kind of gather the strength. You're
Yeah.
still, as a result of being a polymath, I would say you're much faster than anyone else anyway. But it's important to know that we need downtime
Oh, that
and
resonates.
we always push ourselves.
Yeah, amen to that. That's a lesson I'm needing to learn myself. In my 20s and 30s, I could just go relentlessly, but now I'll be 44 in a few weeks and I'm like, I don't have the same energy I once did. I need sleep. I need downtime. I'll take the weekends off from working now. Like finding that balance is so important for sure. That's a good point.
And another thing I help people with is in the field of trauma release.
Mm,
I think we are in a very imp interesting time nowadays because I think it's very we have the possibility to release trauma much faster, or at least I have learned all the skills that it takes to make it that fast for people and not painful. You have to just focus on it and then you can let it go. And I think like 20 years ago, this awareness didn't exist. It's like the universe designed this time for the possibility. And it's not just me who's doing that. A lot of people do the work. I'm very fast, of course, because I gathered many skills all around to do that and to align it to the person I'm exactly working with, because not everything works for everybody. And I'm not following my process. I look what's the process of the person that I'm working with? What's the need right at the moment? And it might be that don't ever repeat a tool or so is part of the process.
yeah, that's such a good point too, because as polymaths, like it's really, in my view, it's about how can we learn our way into the best expression of ourselves? Like, how can we
Yeah.
try to self-actualize? I'm not sure we ever do, because there's always more to learn and grow and experience. It's an ongoing evolutionary journey, the human experience. But if we have traumas that we haven't processed, it's my belief that they can come back and haunt us, or they can keep us, they can drain us, they can prevent us from being able to reach our potential. So it's so important to take that time and go in and feel and process so we can have the space to really climb into our capacities intellectually, experientially, spiritually, and all the facets of our personhood. So that's a great point that like processing our trauma is an important step, especially for people who want to reach their fullest potential.
And I mean, trauma, it's a word, sometimes I think it's even the wrong word to use. So the way I see it, it's everything that blocks energy, all the energy that you would have as a capacity through a mindset or so resulting from an experience in a past who keeps you blocked at some space. It could be that you didn't get enough attention when you did I don't know, the school play or stuff like this. It doesn't have to be like a big trauma like we might think about trauma, but all the stuff gathers your thought in a way that is not really helping you to deliver your greatest potential. And then you can release that, and then you're getting freer and freer.
Yeah, I love that. Freer and freer. That's a really great way of saying it too. Free from those past experiences that are weighing you down or holding you back. But even for me, polymathy is about freedom also. Like there's a
Yeah.
freeness that you feel when you get to be yourself and you get to change. It's not even that you find yourself and you're done. It's like who we are evolves and shifts and change over time. And there's a freedom in that. But society will not encourage that necessarily. Society is sort of like find your box, find your identity, be the thing, stay who you are, so other people don't have to deal with the discomfort of having to modify their understanding of who you are. So there's a sovereignty, a mental sovereignty even, and deciding what do I want to learn about? Because the society isn't going to tell you, Barbara, okay, you became a doctor. The society probably didn't tell you you should become a musician and you should become a coach and you should learn about spirituality and photography. Like you had to make that decision on your own. And that is a way of you expressing your own freedom in your own life, you know?
Yes, yes. And I mean, I remember you telling me your parents also told you you can become anything. And
Mm,
mine did the same. So my parents were teachers and they told me I can choose. My brothers and sisters did chose totally different careers and I knew I have the choice, so I can just do that. And then when something was showing up, I took another thing and it was never an issue. So I think that's a great gift that I got from my home to support me and not being kind of incentivized to go up a wrong ladder, as a friend once said. When you're
mm.
too far up the wrong ladder, you might not even change anymore and you live a life that is not aligned. And then, yeah. So
Yeah,
no.
I have a feeling that's part of what ages some people faster is when they're living a life they don't enjoy. Of course, their bodies are gonna respond, you know? But when you're
Yes.
in alignment with who you want to be, and sometimes it means you have to make difficult choices. It's not all flowers and roses and
Yes.
butterflies. Like sometimes to get the life you want, you have to suffer, sacrifice, work, and that can be difficult. That can be aging. But if you're able to like cross that bridge and get to the life you really want, then you can enjoy your experience of being alive more. You're going to be happier.
You could even enjoy doing your work.
Yeah, what a crazy concept. That's living the dream. If you can enjoy your work.
Yeah, I mean, I was so many times I was going to work and enjoying my work, to be
Yeah.
honest. And it could be anywhere.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think it's so good for our physical and mental health to craft lives we can truly love.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. My next question is like, as a coach for polymathic people and as someone who convenes polymathic people on a regular basis online, have you heard of or seen any people in your circle who your support, your coaching, your convening of them really impacted their journey in a positive way? Is there any story that you could think of, any example?
Yeah, many people say I changed their life sometimes after one conversation.
That's awesome. And is it like, can you share a little bit more like
So
the
now
impact?
what can I say? So, for example, overcoming a traumatic relationship and finding the profession that is aligned with the multiple skills and living from that, or being able to or from a place where finding no jobs to getting to a space of having 5 job offers. That was a free Zoom call.
That's
But
awesome. Yeah.
for years not finding a job, and then I have a Zoom call and taught one particular skill that I knew was needed for this person, and then but the jobs were just streaming in and streaming in. Stuff like this happens to me all the time.
You know what it strikes me, Barbara, is that because you were a medical doctor, a gynecologist, OBGYN, whatever the right term is, before, that's like a healing profession in some ways, right? And then it's like this is a different way of helping to heal people to their
Yes,
wholeness,
it's
right?
true.
Yeah.
Particular case was setting boundaries was the topic that this person needed to learn.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, that is a very important skill for sure. Um, How do you incorporate systems thinking? Like, is there anything about systems thinking that you can mention?
Yeah, that's the way I think.
Yeah, that's the way you
So
think.
I was actually cast in a LinkedIn group with system thinkers of the ones who really understand it. There are a lot of people who made it a brand and then sell their stuff. But there are some people who really understand system thinking, and there are 22 different how are they called? 22 different ways of system thinking, one like systems dynamics, and then many others, and people who really understand that. And I was in this group and I was understanding nothing at first because they were also using words that mean that I didn't understand.
Hmm.
So I was just observing how they were talking to each other and stuff like this. And then after maybe a month or so, I was like, oh, this is actually the way I think. It's so fascinating.
Yeah, that's so cool. Well, thank you for your thoughts on systems thinking. I also want to ask you about creativity, because as a musician and an artist yourself, it seems like you might have some.
Maybe I can say, can I say one more thing about?
Yeah.
Because my boyfriend has just published a book on system
Mm,
thinking, which is a conversation with a professor in Zurich.
mm.
And that there are three authors. The third one is an artist who made really cool pictures in Zurich. And I think this is the maybe the simplest and most and still most whole book about system thinking that can explain people to really get into the field.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing about that. And I'm thank you for referencing Adam's book. He's an expert on systems thinking, and I had a chance to meet him also when we were together in Greece. Such a smart, sweet guy. I also, okay, so I want to ask about music and photography because for you, and there may be others, I don't know if there's any other art forms you enjoy, but I know you mentioned music, of course. And by the way, my mother's from Cuba, so that's so cool that you went there to record your music. Um, how do these creative outlets influence you? Like, do they just allow a release of creative expression? Do you link in other learnings from other areas into your art form? What what can you tell me about your enjoyment of the art?
Great question. Um, I always called myself pathologically creative, but I should take that back because it's actually a gift and to needs to be celebrating. I shouldn't call it pathological, but I'm extremely creative in everything I do. So, but the kind of normal creativity is just it's joy. It's the flow of joy. Whether I'm dancing, I did different dances through my life. I went to Cuba originally to learn salsa, and then I met the musicians. So I paint a bit just for my fun. That's not where I'm really strong, but it's still it feeds my soul. And then, yeah, songwriting, poems. I wrote stacks of poems, um, photography, yeah, all kinds of creativities. Like, is there even a plural of the word? I don't know.
I like it.
But I always found that in my life, I need to do at least one creative endeavor and one intellectual endeavor so that I
Mm,
feel well and balanced and happy. If I would just do either intellectual or creative, it wouldn't balance me out and then I would not feel happy.
that makes a lot of sense. I feel that way too. Like there's something, yeah, there's something freeing back to that theme of like freeness and wellness. Like if we aren't able to express a part of who we naturally are, it feels like some clog or some blockage is starting because we're not able to release our true selves into the world, into form, into expression, into experience, into sharing. So
Yes.
yeah, it's a great point. Reflecting on your own super diverse career, can you share any transformative experience that you've had? Like, was there something in your background, and it could be from any of the myriad experiences you've had, like something that really transformed you as a person?
Yeah, I take an example that you wouldn't think about. So when I was 20, the mother of a colleague said, Barbara doesn't walk, she kind of wobbles, or I don't know what the word was in English. And then I was always very paying attention on my own walk. And that also led into having like a physical flow in my movement. And I even perfectioned it when I, after doing the upper sexocorporal course, because there's something very beautiful that happens if you walk perfectly with every step. It's kind of having a lot of, the infinity figures.
Mm-hmm.
They are in your shoulders, they are in your pelvis, and I think they might even come from the way we walk. And so it's freeing, it's kind of healing to walk in a good way. And if you don't, it's stressing your body or your
Oh,
joints or something like this. So
yeah,
it
that's
was really freeing and kind of nurturing myself to be able to do that and to learn that after I learned it. But I took a long time to learn it somehow, to the
wow.
perfection that I wanted to have it.
Thank you for sharing that. I hope someone watching this, it sets off a light bulb for them and they learn about walking and walk in their fullest potential. I know I'm going to think about that now myself. All right. A couple more questions before we begin to wrap up. What drives your continuous pursuit of knowledge and growth? What is it? Like, what desire or drive or push is there within you that has led to you becoming this version of yourself?
It's just there. It's an innate curiosity. Even when I see a YouTube video, I want to know the context. I think I want to always know the context, and then I want to always go deeper into understanding. I want to understand stuff.
Mm,
I don't just want to have facts. That's not interesting me. I want to really understand it, which means always relating facts to the context and then to the bigger context and then to other facts and stuff like this. So it's kind of a continuous essence of knowledge. That's what's interesting me.
yeah, that makes sense. The curiosity is the essence of what a polymath is. There's just this curiosity to understand reality, truth, themselves, others, natural phenomenon in the world, like there that curiosity is part of just what makes us want to learn so broadly and so deeply.
And some people understand curiosity in a wrong way.
Hmm.
Some people say, What? You're curious. But no, you should never say no to curiosity. What they say no to is actually, I call it nosiness. When you
Hmm.
put your nose into other people's things, curiosity is actually what kids have to learn. When we come to this world, we need our curiosity, and it just not hasn't died for polymaths.
Yeah, exactly. We keep that childlike wonder and
Yes.
curiosity of like, wow, there's so all this stuff here. How can I understand the context in the world I'm existing in?
And the word wonder brings in one more kind of aspect of it because it's relating you to something greater than you are.
Mm, yeah, yeah, exactly. Like we're part of like the reality. If we open our eyes and really look around, like we have bodies with beating hearts and
Yeah.
consciousness and complex systems. We have, I learned this yesterday, Barbara. We have more foreign cells in our body, like fungi, viruses, mitochondria with their own DNA. We have more of those cells in our body than our own human cells. what we are is a whole constellation of beings. Even what we are is like a whole universe. That's fascinating. And we live on a planet floating
Okay.
in a vast
So I
cosmos.
have to intervene
Okay.
in a little bit because the mitochondria are part of our cells.
Yes, yes, they are part of
But
our
you
cells.
mean other gene?
The mitochondria, yeah, my understanding is they exist in the cells, but they have their own DNA.
Yes, they have a different DNA. And the DNA of the mitochondria comes from your mother. So we have more
Yes,
genetic information from our mothers than from our fathers, which is interesting.
it is
And
interesting.
and then the added DNA of all the fungi and whatever you said, the microbiome is much
Yes,
greater than our own microbiome. So we can say we are more something else than we are ourselves.
exactly. There's a Wikipedia page about the microbiome, and I want to encourage anyone finding this to check it out. And maybe I could stick a link to it in the description of this video. But it's fascinating just to understand, like, speaking of awe and wonder, I know we're going down a rabbit hole and a tangent, but as a medical doctor, like, it might be interesting to talk about the body. Um, that there's like a whole system constellation that even I am like what I am is actually a whole bunch of beings in one suit, it's one meat suit. And then, these systems exist inside other systems. And planet Earth is like a spaceship Earth. It's like a grain of sand in like a vast beach of cosmic existence. And like, why wouldn't we want to be curious? Why wouldn't we want to get excited and understand the magic of what we are swimming in and what we are?
Yes, and that's a cool thing because the microbiome is not just the microbiome. It changes with what you eat, where you are. Do you shake anyone else's hand, then your microbiome already changes. So imagine what happened in COVID. So and blah blah
Mm.
blah. You shook nobody's hands anymore. So you don't have this imprint of other microbiomes anymore, which are maybe important to make an experience somewhere. But I'm not going down this rabbit hole totally, but I'm just kind of pinging it on.
Yeah. Well, yes, we can leave it there, but it is fascinating. Just speaking of being in awe and wonder and curiousness of like,
Yes.
there's just an endless array of fascinating topics to learn about. And the internet makes it so much easier nowadays too. Like I come from the world from before the internet and I mean, there were libraries and encyclopedias and different ways to learn back then, but now information is so accessible. So for people who are curious, who want to learn broadly, who want to learn deeply, like do it. You can give yourself the freedom and the power to become your best self through broad, deep learning, lifelong, life-wide learning. And there's so much to be fascinated by in our world.
And I mean, I know you're using artificial intelligence as well. What I found out that for me, conversations is the best to learn.
Mm.
And if you learn with artificial intelligence, of course, you need to know that it's not that what it says is not totally accurate. And I'm talking about that a little bit. But you can still ask it questions, but you have to be critical in your thinking. And then you can learn through conversations instead of just going to Wikipedia and have to read a page or have to read a book. So for me personally, this is really fun because
Yeah.
it talks to me. I can give it tasks to go and research and find many, many sources of information. And if I know how to talk to it, it can be even broader or deeper or whatever I want to know. So I'm learning through conversation, which is really cool.
Yeah,
It's a lot of fun.
this has become one of my favorite ways to learn too. I interact with ChatGPT every single day, and I'm continuing to learn from it. And the fact that it can be in conversation, so people can speak, people can hear, you don't have to type and read. It makes it even easier to continue to learn through AI. And yes, we need to remain critical. It can make errors. It's not perfect, but it is such an amazing tool to enhance our sense of awe and wonder through learning just about whatever we want to learn, whatever the world wants to bring us to learn about. Like I've noticed in my own exploration of my own human experience too, like I'll come across something and I'll go, oh, interesting. And then I'll go to GPT and I'll go learn more about it just because that's what life brought me, you know?
Yes. And also, it's the same thing to learn from people. I mean, now we're talking together, and there's an immense knowledge that we both have and that we share, and we are having a conversation, but we also learn continuously from each other. And that was also in my studies. That was my kind of preferred way of learning, to kind of listen to the professor.
Mm,
Others went home and read their books and stuff like this. I found it much more interesting to have a live human living conversation and then learn like this, but everybody's different.
same. That's my favorite way to learn too, is in conversation with people like, live. I can read a book, and in college I did a lot of that, but it took discipline for me. It wasn't like something I naturally wanted to do. But learning, that's the great thing about learning, is that there's many different ways. So we can each find our own ways, or become aware even of the ways that we learn best, and then do more of that intentionally, to expand our minds.
And you wrote your thesis like that, learning from other polymaths how they see the world. So, or is that a bad summary?
Well, it was fascinating to conduct the interviews of people who are good at learning,
Yeah,
and really smart, and really capable, and really impressive. Yeah, but I mean, I learned so much, and I loved the conversations. Like for me, the best part of my research was the time I got to spend talking to these amazing people. It was just
yeah,
joyful and fascinating and interesting, and just to be a witness to their own majesty. Like they were each such beautiful masterpieces in their own original, unique ways, like such combinations. And I loved it. I would prefer, yeah, that's my favorite way to learn. And I'm social, I'm an extrovert, I'm a people person. I like to talk. So, and I like to listen. So for me, that's like my favorite way to learn, is from people, with people. Um, but I also like go down YouTube rabbit holes and listen to audiobooks and podcasts, and sometimes I'll read a book. And yeah, there's all different kinds of ways to learn. And I think it's so important for people to figure out, like, how do I learn best? So then we
yes,
can continue to drive, we can make the agenda. And there's this mix of like, we want to be intentional with some of our learning, but we also need to just sort of be open to what life naturally brings us to. So there's this fine line we have to walk between making who we are and allowing ourselves to become based on
yes,
the environment and the world around us.
yeah. I love that.
Yeah,
Emergence.
emergence. Exactly. All right. My last question before we dive into the lightning round of some fun wrap up questions. But if you could impart one piece of wisdom to aspiring polymaths, or for people who are feeling constrained by society's pressures to like just be the one thing and do that, what would you tell them? What's the wisdom that you would give someone who really wants to become their truest, fullest, most authentic, free, well selves?
So firstly, never call yourself aspiring polymath
Okay.
because you already are that. Enjoy being yourself, enjoy your curiosity, enjoy all it brings, and enjoy being diverse within you,
Mm,
and and find people who enjoy that as well, and people who don't judge you for that, but
yeah.
who love that about you.
Yeah, I love that. Like craft an environment for yourself where you can thrive, or you can be
Yes.
yourself. Exactly. Good point. All
And
right.
sometimes explain yourself to others
Hmm.
who are not like you. That sometimes helps.
Nice. Well, thank you for that. Well, all right. That was a great discussion. Thank you for sharing your wisdom with us, Barbara. Just for fun, as we wrap up, I'd like to ask you four quick questions. This is my lightning round, and just sort of just say the answers as they come to you. All right. What's the best book that you've read recently? Or if you haven't read it, if you've listened to some content, I know you prefer that way of learning, but is there anything you've learned about recently that you really enjoyed?
I just said say the latest book that I read, I'm still reading the end of it is called What? And it's about conversation.
Mm,
It's
okay.
from Sharon Drew Morgan, who gave it to me, who is also a polymath.
Oh, how cool is that? Thank you for that recommendation. And next question. What's one piece of advice that you would give to someone who is a polymath, but they're feeling really stretched thin and overwhelmed by like taking on too much at once.
Learn to say no and learn to say it from within. And if you can't say no, go to my YouTube channel. I have many videos that give you aspects of learning it. And many people have learned it just by those videos. I've also had a course around it, but you can learn it on yourself.
If you could have dinner with any historical figure, who would it be and why?
I think I would take Socrates right now
Mm-hmm.
because we share this piece of not knowing, which is very important for me.
Mm.
I think you have to come to a place of not knowing, which means to get rid of all the preconceptions. And then if you are in this place of not knowing, where you kind of totally aligned like a naked person on a wide field, and you can say, I don't know. I don't know whether that happens for everyone, but for me, knowledge just flies in and it's the right thing that flies.
Yeah, so like by acknowledging that I don't know, it invites clarity.
Yeah.
It invites learning. Yeah, I love that. And last lightning round question. What's next on your journey? What's on your horizon, your future? Like, what are you looking forward to?
Started writing a book. I want to finish that. And then, yeah.
Very cool. What's your book about?
My learning journey, I don't want to talk too much about it
Sure.
because I'm in the creative process and I want
Mhm.
to kind of keep it a bit within so
Sure.
that because I think if you're sharing too much, in the end, you're not doing it. So I
Well,
want to, yeah, I started writing it and it's fun. I use the like the empty paper that ChatGPT gives me and I
mm,
write it myself and just use it for correcting the words and stuff because ChatGPT can't write like I do.
well, keep going, keep writing, and I think that's great that you're writing a book. Well, Barbara, this has been such an insightful conversation. Before we wrap up, is there any final thoughts or messages you'd like to share before we go?
Just wanted to tell you that I'm really grateful for for you showing up for me when I was kind of starting to discover the polymath journey and coming in and helping me, giving me the PDF of your thesis. This was invaluable for me and really grateful for that.
Oh, thank you so much, Barbara. I'm so glad. Can I just say, I wrote that as part of my doctoral program, and I was passionate about the subject, and I thought 3 or 4 people in the world would ever read it. I thought the people on my committee, and then it would sit on a shelf and that would be it. And it's been so heartwarming that people cared about it and that it helped people in some way. Like it feels so rewarding that the work I put into that has helped people in some way. So thank you for saying that. It's so fulfilling for me to hear that.
Wonderful.
All right. Well, this has been really great. Thank you so much, Barbara, for coming on my YouTube channel. And thank you, everyone, for tuning in today. If you enjoyed this conversation, don't forget to like and subscribe and share it with your friends. Stay curious, keep learning, and I'll see you next time here at Polymaths Place and the Dr. Angela Meyers YouTube channel. Thank you, everybody.